Good afternoon, everyone. How was your afternoon? Good? Good? Making connections, passing out business cards, meeting your future partners in the new development deal you're going to do? If everyone could just go ahead and just grab a seat, we're going to go ahead and start our final session for the day. If everyone could just grab a seat, we're going to go ahead and start our session now. It is so good to see everyone making awesome connections, meeting a lot of folks, learning a lot of new insights, a lot of nuggets. So good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Darrick Dansby, a micro investor, realtor with Caldwell Banker, president of the Greater Cincinnati Realtors Association, and I am extremely honored and pleased to be here to round out your day. This final session is focusing on access to big opportunities. So we are going to talk about the Western Hills Viaduct. We are also going to talk about bus rapid transit. We are also going to talk about the Brent Spence Bridge, but we're going to start by talking about what's going on in the facility that you're sitting in right now, which is the Duke Convention Center. And I know that we're going to talk very high level about all these projects and ways in which you can bid on projects, bid on these jobs. And I know for a lot of folks, you may say, hey, look, I'm just trying to get started. This is way too big for me. It's never too big for you. If you start planting your seeds right now, getting your businesses in order, getting yourself in order, you may not be able to catch up with these 4 projects. But who knows? One day, Paul Brown Stadium may get a roof on it. Who knows? One day we may do some more work in other parts of downtown and other parts of the city. So getting started now is the best time to get started. So I'd like to bring to the stage Mr. Steve Leeper and Mr. Adam Gelter, both of which need no introduction. They're from 3CDC, and they're going to give you an overview of the convention center project that they're working on. And just to kind of give you some real high-level items, the convention center project is a $200 million renovation of the Duke Energy Convention Center. It's going to include a new public plaza on the new on the former Millennium Hotel site. They're going to be upgrading meeting rooms, ballrooms, extending the exhibit hall, as well as overhauling the building exterior side. So again, Steve and Adam.
Thanks, everybody, for having us. I got a quick presentation to just kind of walk you through high level what the project is and where we are in the process. So we are looking on behalf of the city, county, Visit Cincy, and other groups at the Convention Center District, but we're going to talk a little bit about what's the overall plan. So the first thing is a $200 million renovation of this building itself, and that will be a full-scale renovation. A lot of work with mechanical, electric, and plumbing, but then we're going to reskin most of the exterior of the building, all new finishes, upgrades. This room that we're in will get a significant positive facelift. And then shortly thereafter, we're going to begin construction on a new convention hotel, somewhere between 650 and 800 rooms on the lot that's just immediately south of here at 5th and Plum. And then we'll simultaneously work on some of the other surrounding properties that both the Port Authority, the city, the county, and 3CDC own, including the Wex Garage and 435 Elm for additional future development. And this map just gives you a little highlight of what we're calling the Convention Center District. And you can see all the different colors there of projects that are either already done or opportunities for additional development. And so the scope of work I already highlighted, but it's all those things I said, plus AV work, all new technology in the building. And so upgrading accessibility. And really what we're trying to do is make the building much more flexible and functional than it is today to better serve events like what we're doing here today. We are working with a team led by Moody Nolan out of Columbus, who is the lead architect on the building. They're working with a partner, TVS, who has a lot of experience in convention centers. And then you see a series of other folks on the design team. And then on the construction side, we are working with a team led by Messer, Triversity, and Jostin Construction. They have a partnership that will lead and be the construction manager for the convention center development. We are in an iterative process right now. We just finished schematic design, and we are working to refine the scope and budget of the project. The project will be $200 million, and we're trying to make sure we get the scope that fits that budget. This just gives you some high-level pictures of what we're proposing. So obviously this is the existing and what's being proposed. This is looking along 5th Street and gives you a sense of where we're trying to head and really making this a much more modern and exciting building than what it is today. Some interior shots as well. So this is right when you walk in the building, it's pretty dark. We're trying to really open that up and make it a lot more user-friendly. Same thing, there's a lot of poor circulation here in the building, and try to open that up and make it a lot more inviting for folks. The other thing that we're working on simultaneously is this site, the old Millennium Hotel site, is the site of hopefully future expansion of the convention center, which isn't financially feasible at this time. But what we're going to do in the interim is work to make this a civic space that can work in conjunction with the convention center, and events can use that space while they're using the convention center, but when it's not being used for that, it can be a public space. So we are working with the city and county, who have pledged some of their own dollars to this, but the big source of funding for this is the transient occupancy tax, better known as the hotel tax. So we're putting those sources together, essentially working with the state to change some legislation, which has now passed, so that we can harness this hotel tax in the most efficient way possible, combining both the city and county sources in ways we haven't done, and our friends at Visit Cincy have pledged some of the money that goes to their efforts towards this effort in order to make this financially viable. So the net result is the $200 million of what we're calling new money in this chart to allow us to finance this project. I mentioned the headquarters hotel. Here's a rendering of that. Again, this is on the lot immediately south, the parking lot that sits just south of the building. We are a few months behind on this from where we are on the convention center. Give you some renderings. But we are working with Portman Holdings. It's a group out of Atlanta that does convention hotels. We went through a process to select them as a private developer. And so we're working through cost and how we address the gap on this project. Convention hotels typically have a gap given all the meeting space and room blocks that they do. And we're working to fill that gap and then move this thing forward. This just sort of walks you through the gap and why there is one. Schedule. So I mentioned we just finished schematic design, and this is the time that we're really going to kick off our DEI efforts on the project. We have an event on September 27th in this room at 5:30 p.m. to sort of kick off working with the African American Chamber and Messer, Jostin, and Triversity to kick off our efforts to do this. And what we really want to do, now that we have a scope of work that is fairly well defined, meet with folks in one-on-one sessions to understand what their capability is, how they might play a role, as Darrick mentioned, big or small, and how do we refine packages and make teams together so that we can get as much inclusion on this project as we want. We have a 40% MBWE reach goal for this project, which is very ambitious, but we really think we can achieve it, and we need folks like you to help to get there. And so we'll kick off those efforts and then go through design development, and we'll start releasing some early packages, and then really the work will start July 1st of next year and take an 18-month schedule. And then the financing is mirroring that, where we're working hopefully to get some final approvals from the city and county this fall, and then work through a financial closing prior to construction in May of next year. And the headquarter hotel is probably 3 to 4 months behind that, where we're for both approvals and then also for construction.
Thank you. So, meeting September 27th here in the convention center. What time is that one? 5:30. Okay. and timeline is 18 months. Quickly, just kind of go over some of the opportunities that are available for folks to get involved with.
Yeah, so I think we're touching on, at least in a small way, every single construction trade. We're really touching all the mechanicals of the building, all the finishes, any kind of just general labor. We're pouring concrete. I mean, we're doing all the things that are out there. Obviously, some of those packages are bigger than others, so that's why we're looking to opportunities to how do we break those down in a way that makes it accessible to a broader group of folks.
You should also mention that the city has given us some flexibility on how we buy this job out. And so we feel like we can pair folks together or identify opportunities where, as Adam indicated, to break that package off and really designate certain packages that will allow minority businesses to participate. So we will be extremely aggressive in that front. And we're already thinking about this and having thoughts about how we know who our contractors are. We've got some really good ones in the city, and we're going to find a way to get them work on this job.
So how can we unpack that a little bit more to understand if there is an African-American developer that's out there that wants to do this but just doesn't feel like they're quite ready to...
You mean contractor?
Yes.
Yeah.
To really, how does that matchmaking process work?
It's going to begin on the meeting that Adam described. And once we identify those contracting firms that have an interest, then we're going to meet with them separately, individually, with the designers and with the general contractor, construction manager, and begin to define it so that they clearly have an opportunity. They're not feeling rushed to make a bid, put a bid in. Look, just because they have work doesn't mean they're going to be successful. And we got to make sure that when we get firms involved with this, that we do everything we can to make them successful.
And in terms of qualifications, skill set, insurance, what are some of the things that they need to have and be prepared to have?
Yeah, so we similarly will work with folks to understand what Messrs in Traverse and Johnson, they'll have requirements for the job as far as insurance and this sort of things. But again, with the city and county's help, we've tried to make this process a little more flexible than it maybe typically would be on a big project like this, so that we can work with folks if they're not able to get subguard insurance or other things, that we can have a process whereby they can rely on Messer to do that or Traversity to do that. And so we really, again, don't want those things to be a barrier. We want to use this as an opportunity to reach out to folks and help them get over those sort of stumbling blocks. And the benefit of the time and resources we have with the city and county is that we have the luxury of time to do that.
You mentioned some stumbling blocks. What are some obstacles that you guys have seen in the past that you've run into, and how have you managed to overcome them?
Well, the one is the bonding, which is we can overcome that with different types of insurance at the CM level. The second thing is to make sure that when somebody puts a bid in, they have assumptions about what the schedule is going to be and what the condition of the site is of the property when they get there. And what we've seen in the past sometimes is they get delayed, then it becomes a problem for them because then they've got to put their schedule out. And then sometimes they get to a site and they think that site is ready for them to do their work, and it's not. And so they're finding themselves trying to get that property. So we are very clear, we're going to be very clear that our job doesn't end once somebody gets a bid. We have to stay with that contractor to make sure that they are in a position to be successful. Because where we think we're doing folks a favor sometimes by getting them on a job site, and then we don't do everything we can to make those conditions appropriate for them to be successful, then we've failed. And we're going to be on top of this.
So just one real quick question. I know you guys have been doing, Steve, you've been doing this for 4 decades now.
Tell them how old I am.
Steve and I and Adam, we've worked together, so I can joke with him like that.
Yeah, you should hear some of the things he said about me. But go ahead.
But Steve, you have a wealth of experience, and you've been doing this not only here in Cincinnati, but in Pittsburgh as well. And you've managed to work with a number of African-American developers and contractors over those years. In your mind, what do you see as the secret for success for those developers and contractors?
I think, as I said before, I think the secret of success is going to be for us to be ahead of the curve so that they're getting information in a timely fashion so they have plenty of time to react. and that we build a strong relationship between the subcontractor and the construction manager, and that they know. I know Messer knows what our objectives are and what the expectations are from the city and the county. They know exactly what we need to do, and so I am confident. As I said, Adam and his team are already thinking about this, where we know firms and where they can be successful and where we can place them in this job, that they feel like they're getting a real meaningful participation.
Yeah, and I really think the relationship part of it is super important. And so, this event on the 27th, we'll give you some more detailed information than we just a similar presentation with a little more time. But then what we really want to do is have time to meet people face to face, understand what their needs are, then follow up with an individual meeting so that we know who they are, they know who we are. When the issues come up or they have a future opportunity, they know who to call, and then we know who they are and what they do and what they're about. And that's really how we build success in doing this.
Anything else or advice you want to share with these current and aspiring black developers and contractors?
Well, I think you said it earlier, is don't get intimidated by the size of the job, because we will right size it to accommodate folks. So that's the main thing and what happens too is come into this, and even, there may be some folks who may not end up working on this job, but we've now established a relationship, and we're gonna get them down the line. That's how we do business with everybody. And so that's the relationship building is critical. And we're going to have a session here on the 27th, I think, as Adam said, is the date. We're going to continue to have them. It's not going to be a one-time thing. It's a constant touch point with each of these firms.
Awesome. While I got you here, anything on Saks Fifth Avenue that you could share?
I think it's a similar process where, we probably won't have a whole big event, but we're really going to try to take our time, be thoughtful about the process with which we go about bidding that project. When we got some things to work through with the city and on the, on our financing side of this. But when we do get the ground running to actually start bidding that, we'll do a similar process just at a smaller scale. And it really is really the same things. And we'll make sure we work with the city, with this group, with the African American Chamber, get that word out of like, here's when the bidding's coming. Here's how, getting people the drawings ahead of time so they know what's coming. And then that's how we'll handle it.
Thank you. And anything we can do to help spread the word, let us know. Anything else you guys want to wrap up with?
Is it the Brownies or the Bengals?
It's the Browns.
Okay, I just wanted to go.
It's the Browns. Thank you guys so much. They're going to step outside. So if you guys have some additional questions, you want to get business cards, this starts with building a relationship right here. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you both. So speaking of 4 decades of experience, I want to bring up Ms. Icy Williams, who's going to talk about the Brent Spence Bridge. Back there. So if there's areas that you want him to zoom in on your flyer, he can do that.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to make sure that I set the expectation. I'm not here to talk about the design of the bridge and what that design is going to be, okay? I'm going to leave that to the folks who are making that decision, and that is the bi-state management team. Thank you. My intent here today is to really just to give you a couple of snapshots as it pertains to the Brent Spence Bridge and give you some idea as to who is working on this on behalf of the disadvantaged businesses that we will be going after that are being impacted throughout the greater Cincinnati area, throughout Kentucky, and we're also including Indiana in this as a 3-state DBE project. Walsh and Kokosi joined together as a joint venture, and so they are the contractors who have been announced for this project. What you see on the slide there are also the other members of this team, which is ACOM, Jacobs, Parsons, and Web Ventures. And I'm here representing Web Ventures. As the diversity and inclusion manager, as it pertains to the targeted goals that have been established for phase 1 of this project, as well as phase 2 for this project. And again, the idea is to think about being ahead of the game now to get as many of our certified DBEs in on this project, and then throw the net wide enough for any others who are interested in becoming a DBE, starting now, making that process happen. I want you to also understand is that we have many DBEs in the databases between Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. The idea is to get them work. That should be part of our major focus. Not only take the certified DBEs who are in the database, but also those who are interested, and get them work as it pertains to this $3.6 billion project. The one area on the bottom is...
Could you say that again? 3 point what? One more time. Say that one more time, please.
$3.6 billion
That's
project.
with the B, right?
That's with a
Okay.
B.
Okay.
It is one of the largest states projects in centuries. And the two states have come together to make this happen. I don't know the full history. I wasn't here in Cincinnati during that period of time, but my understanding is this has been discussions that has been going on for quite some time. And through this administration, local, state, as well as federal, it's now coming to fruition. And we want to make sure that we are as inclusive as we possibly can based upon of the communities that are going to be impacted across this project. The other thing I want you to understand is this is bigger than just the bridge. We're talking about 3 miles in Ohio of road construction and up to a potential of 6 miles into Kentucky. That means a lot of homes, lots of communities are being impacted. And we've got to think through as to how we are inclusive in this work. What you see down at the bottom are other bridges that have been built across states. And again, I'm not here to talk about the bridge design, but I just want you to give some feel of what the bridge will look like. Next slide, please. But I also want you to see the full road construction that includes the bridge, which includes one of the topics that's going to be talked about here later on is the Harrison Viaduct. My project, my involvement on this is not the Harrison Viaduct, but there is a ramp that goes from the Harrison Viaduct onto the road construction for the Brent Spence Bridge. The other thing that I want to just at least start to share with you doing this phase 1 that we're working on right now is also understand that this is a design build project where there are lots of engagement, lots of ideas, lots of involvement from the communities, from the states, and others who are providing insight into what they think this project should be. So when I speak about progressive design, it means that it is fluid. It is fluid and probably will be fluid. But the work that we are looking at right now for DBEs in phase 1A is listed in the area where we talk about potential pre-construction work types. That is the environmental, that's the civil engineering, that's the geotechnical, that's the landscape design. One of the areas where I am starting to call on DBEs today is really looking at the PMO office that is being built out for the bi-state management team as well as the construction management team, as well as I will also be housed in that building doing the entire process. So there are areas that I am already engaging DBEs across the 3 states as it pertains to work types. And so that's why my encouragement is here today. If you are a DBE or if you're interested in this work, connect with me and I will start the process of ensuring that your name and your information is part of this work type for phase 1, okay? As we think about going into phase 2, the next work is really the construction work, which is then actually building the bridge as well as doing the road construction. That's all phase 2. And you can see what those work types are. If there's an interest again in being on this, in any of these work types, make sure that your certification is up to date. Make sure your NIC codes. One of the things that I'm finding right now as I'm searching the databases is many of our DBEs do not include all of their NIC codes that they are doing work in. Go back to your states and ensure that all of your NIC codes are listed. Some have been in there since 2013. I am sure that you have built additional capacity and capability during that period of time. So update your DBE in the database. The other thing that I want to just call out at this point in time is the schedule. So many people believe that everything is already going. This project has not started yet. I just want you to be clear on that. The contractor has been announced, which is Walton Kokosi, but the work has not started yet. We are looking at work types for phase 1A, but there is no bids that are out yet and will not be out for a while until there is a final agreement with the bi-state management team. So the schedule right now is fall 2023 through spring of 2024 is what we are phasing, what we're calling phase 1A pre-construction, which is really to get to a proof of concept. So that's through April of 2024, proof of concept. Spring of 2024 through 2025 is the pre-construction project development. So in terms of true construction, we will not see construction until 2025. But what that does for us is it gives us opportunity to be ready. It gives us an opportunity to do the work that we need to do. Because I'm here as your advocate. I'm here as the person who can work with you, whether that's through outreach in any of the local agencies here, or if that's outreach with the states, to ensure that if there are some gaps in your capacity or your capability or your DBE certification or your pre-qualification as it pertains to the work areas, whether it's in Ohio or it's in Kentucky, I'm here to start to make that happen for you today. And so that's why I'm here, to advocate for you and to be here with you to get you through the process. I have some additional flyers out on a table out there. If you want to speak with me later on based off of your interest, please stop by and I'll be more than willing to answer any questions that you might have.
Ron, could you focus? Yes, thank you, Icy. Relax for a little bit. Could you focus on the center piece on that second page there, just like that center piece, everything where it says potential pre-construction work types? Yeah, just zoom back out a little bit, just a little bit more. Yeah. So we've got asphalt pavement, demolition, chemical stabilization, erosion control, a whole list of things. Icy, in your mind, or based on your experience, how should someone show interest that they want to do something like this?
Again, the first piece is if you are certified DBE already and you're interested in this project, contact me. My email is on this flyer down at the bottom where it says williamsic@gmail.com. You can contact me, and I will get you started in this process. If you're not a certified DBE, contact me. That's how you get started.
So you must be a DBE.
This program, this project, because it is a federal project, is DBE goals. Phase 1A is 9% DBE, and the target amount for phase 2 is 7%. So when I say targeted, that means that the final number has not been determined as of yet, but the target is 7%. It is a federal project and is being governed by the federal.
In your mind, what do you foresee as some of the obstacles for African American contractors and developers who may be thinking about doing this for the first time? What do you foresee as some of the obstacles that may pop up?
And they are very similar between whether you're doing, whether you're an MBE, or you're WBE, or you're an SBE, or you're an 8A, is first thing you think is, I'm too small. The idea is not to think about being small, is to think about, do I have an interest, and do I have the capacity and capability? If you don't have the capacity, then this is the time to get ready, start getting prepared. Because there's ways to build that capacity other than being alone. You know, I've been doing this work for going on 40 years, and I have a strong push that we need to continue to think about, how do we team? How do we partner? How do we collaborate? Because that's how we leverage. That's how we make a difference. 20%, 40% is better than zero. 60% is better than zero.
Thank you. Any last minute or final pieces of advice, words of wisdom for 4 decades of DEI work? Anything you want to share with this group?
Well, I'm excited. I'm really excited for the potential, because my role in this is not to just think about this project, but provide an opportunity for those who are already DBE certified, but those who are interested in becoming DBE certified, to think about, hey, this is bigger than just the Brent Spence Bridge project. You're talking about the transportation industry that for decades is going to have work. And we need to be thinking about how many more Black, brown, or other ethnic groups can be part of this transportation industry. But I'll tell you right now, I have a focus for Black, okay? I'm just gonna be right straight up with you. Right. I have a focus for Black and brown, but we have women-owned businesses, we have Hispanic-owned businesses, we have veteran-owned businesses, and we need to get them into the transportation industry, because today the numbers do not match what they need to be.
Great. This is going to be a project that's going to go all the way till 2030. So take advantage of this. You don't want to be driving by that bridge looking at people working saying, that could have been me.
That's absolutely correct.
And there's no harm in saying, hey, this isn't the right project for you, but you can be ready for something else.
That's absolutely correct.
So
just like the Harrison Bridge is coming up, gang, you know.
So you can't score if you don't get in the game, right?
You cannot score if you're not in the game.
Thank you, Icy. Icy will be outside as well. And she's got hard copies of that flyer that we shared. And we'll also include that flyer in the app by Monday, close of business. So next, we've got Bus Rapid Transit. That's a $300 million project. That's the beginning of the design phase is going on right now. Construction starts next year. So we have Mr. Darryl Haley, who's going to present and talk to us about that.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Darrick, thank you very much for letting SORTA be a part of this. But I need to break your heart right now. Browns are going down on Sunday. This is a really exciting time for SORTA. For about 2 decades, we were moving backwards. but thank you to the voters of Hamilton County, the elected officials, our board of directors. Issue 7 in 2020 passed, which changed the dynamic of what transit will be in this region. I am really excited to say that we are building transit. We are growing transit here in this region. We're adding more service. We're adding more types of service, more modes of transportation, one of which is BRT. But what we're here to talk about today is businesses having opportunity. And one of the things that I'm really, really proud of, last year, SORTA spent 26% of our contracts went to small and disadvantaged businesses. This year, the dollar amount we have spent is more than the dollar amount that we spent last year. One of the things that I.C. Williams talked about when she was up here was DBE spend. Doing business with the Federal Transit Administration is very, very different than doing business with other governmental entities. One of the things we're really proud of our procurement department, we have training sessions to teach vendors how to do business with the federal government. We teach them how to fill out RFPs, what it means to be a certified DBE, how to become a certified DBE. Next Wednesday on the 15th, we are having an ice cream social at our Queensgate garage between 11 and 1. You are all invited to come out to see, some of the things, some of the programs that we have to help small businesses. We understand that our commitment to this community is not just to connect people to the places they need to get to in the community, but to be a part of this community and help this community grow. And small businesses is a big part of the community and what we're doing. I'm going to talk a little bit, if you go to the next slide, about bus rapid transit. We did a study of 4 corridors, Montgomery Road, Reading Road, Hamilton Avenue, and Glenway Crossing, to see what the best 2 corridors to start with for BRT was. We are starting with the Reading Road corridor and the Hamilton Avenue corridor. And what we did is, as we worked through this BRT process of what the best 2 corridors, what the best type of service was, we spent a lot of time in the community, really getting the community's feedback on what we should do. We put these plans together, then we went back out to the community to make sure what we heard was exactly what they wanted. Bus rapid transit is a very quick transit along these 2 corridors. There'll be limited stops. There'll be things like bus-only lanes, signal prioritization, specialty stops, so there'll be level platforms. So when the bus pulls up to the platform, if you're in a wheelchair, you have a stroller, you roll right on the bus, you roll right off. When a bus is coming up to a traffic light, and it sees that traffic light will see the bus, and if it's getting ready to turn red, it'll stay green a few seconds longer to get the vehicle through the light. If it's red, it'll turn green a few seconds earlier to make sure the bus moves quickly. It'll be things like queue jumps, and what a queue jump is when a bus comes to a light, the bus will get in its own lane, and the light will turn green for the bus before it turns green for the vehicles to help the vehicle move along. So there'll be a lot of construction involved, a lot of platform building involved. We're really excited about this. We are in the design mode right now. In about a year and a half, we'll start the construction piece of this, and we're hoping to start the Reading Road corridor in 2027. Reading Road will be about 10 miles, and Hamilton Avenue will be about 11 and a half miles. If you go to the next slide. So the estimated cost of building BRT on those 2 corridors will be about $300 million. We're expecting the federal government to fund 70 to 80% of this. So again, this will be a federally funded project, and there are a lot of rules and regulations that go along with that. And I'll ask each of you to reach out to our procurement department and ask them to kind of explain what it means to be a part of a federal transit funded project, and we can help you all with that. Next slide. In addition to BRT, we have a lot of other projects coming up. We are building, next slide, please. We are building 3 transit centers. Within the next few years, we already have federal funding for a transit center in North College Hill, we have funding for a transit center in Uptown and for a transit center in Walnut Hills. If you've seen the transit center in Northside, or you've seen the transit center in Oakley, or the one at Glenway Crossing, we're building transit centers very similar to that, where buses connect. So there's a lot of construction involved in those projects as well, a lot of design work, construction. And those 3 projects are already funded. So we'll be starting design work on those 3 projects relatively soon as well. Next slide. This is my information. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions you have. We look forward to doing business with more and more small and disadvantaged businesses. There are a lot of opportunities in this region. You guys be sure you're talking to people, making sure you're understanding how to take advantage of those opportunities. If you need some help, SORTA would really love to help you in any way we can. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask you some of the same questions that I asked IC and Steve. What are some of the projects that you're going to need contractors to do for you with BRT?
The roadway projects, the construction on the road, the building of the stations. There'll be a lot of electrical work because there'll be real-time signs at the station. All of those things, any of the road work type projects that you see, there'll be signal prioritization projects that'll go on all of those roadway type projects.
And what qualifications do contractors need to have to be able to bid on those projects?
Again, this is a federally funded project, so it's certified DBEs. And one of the things that you have to understand about federally funded projects, when you talk about certified DBEs, you have to be certified in the state in which you're doing the work. And there's no reciprocity. So if a vendor is certified in Kentucky, that doesn't necessarily mean they're certified in Ohio. If you reach out to our procurement department, they can help them understand all of those things and how you get certified and what the qualifications are and how you can make sure that when you're bidding, you understand the rules and regulations. And again, with federal projects, one of the nice things about bidding on federal projects, once those awards are made, they're open to the public. And one of the things I love to tell vendors is, if you didn't win a project, go back to that entity, a government entity, and ask them to show you the bids that were given, ask them to show you the awards, so it will help you on the next project that you bid on to see where you ended up and how you could be more successful on your next time around.
And the project will begin when again?
In about the end of 2026, we'll start the construction. We're in the middle of the design work right now.
And in terms of publicizing, will there be an open meeting to kind of talk about?
Yes, we'll have open meetings. Also, would suggest that you go on our website. We're at go-metro.com, and all of our large procurements we actually put up on the website. So you can go in, and she talked about NACE codes earlier. We actually reach out to vendors as well, and if your NACE code fits, whenever we're putting out any type of bid, we always contact all of those vendors because we understand how important it is for small businesses to get opportunity because it will help this region grow.
Last question. Final score of the game.
Oh, this is easy. 62-3.
Good luck with that one.
It should be a good game. It should be a very good game.
Be a good game. Thank you, Darryl.
Thank you.
All right. And Darryl will also be outside. You've got additional questions you want to ask him, learn a little bit more about what they're working on and how to get involved. You can just reach out to him directly. Last but definitely not least, we are lucky enough to have our awesome city manager, Ms. Cheryl Long here. Madam City Manager, could you please take us away? And Ron, there's the flash drive. Yep, you got it up.
Yep, got it up, I think. Okay, so I'm going to ask for some grace here because as the city manager, this is one of 24 different departments that I manage. So I have definitely people who do this job a lot more better than I do, the engineers, but we're gonna struggle our way through it, okay? So we are talking about Western Hills Viaduct, and just what I think you've seen is that you've heard it was a lot of opportunity in the city area. You're hearing about some constant themes, which is how important it is for you to get certified. And how, if you get certified, there is plenty of opportunity for you to utilize each one of these projects to make yourself stronger and to also grow your business. So I think that these are themes that are consistent. There's plenty of times for you to actually practice, for you to figure out who you like working with, because honestly, with these projects, they take a lot of people, there's a lot of personalities, and in order for you to thrive as a business, obviously you gotta have people that you like working with and know who have your back, right? Okay, so am I flipping it or they're flipping it? So let's move the slide, please. Okay, so to the next one. All right, so that is the location of Western Hills Viaduct, as you see in the middle of our great heart of our city. Right now, I don't know if any of you are familiar with driving around Western Hills Viaduct. Raise your hand if you have. Okay. Do y'all get a little scared when you do that? Okay, because I know I do. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. Okay, let's flip the slide, please. Okay, so right now, as you see, that's our viaduct with that nice little loop at the end of it. It's like a speedway. You got 2 decks, so you better be your most seasoned driver driving across that thing, because I'm telling you what, get in when you fit in. If you don't, it's gonna be problems, right? Okay, so let's just move this slide. All right, so this is what we're trying to do. First of all, the current viaduct as it is, it's complicated. It's, like I said, it's a raceway. It's a traffic hazard. We've done some work on Queen City, but still you come off of there and you can just, you raging through the city. I mean, you really are. It's not, I'm not telling you should be, but that's just the way it is. So we are now trying to go to a more clean single deck design, which would actually have, more lanes in both directions. It's not as complicated. When you get to that end and you got to go around the loop, we're trying to eliminate that, a lot more connectivity than we had before. It's just a lot easier to navigate. Okay, let's move. All right, so the new viaduct is located 50 feet south of the existing viaduct. Single deck is key. Because with that the 2 decks going on, that's a lot. It's taking up a lot more bandwidth. That's a problem. And honestly, what we're finding is that with these new designs of a lot of these bridges, honestly, what people are realizing is what they have done in the past is not working in the present. We took up a lot of space. We disconnected a lot of communities. We made it difficult for people to navigate. So even when you hear what Mr. Hadley is talking about, we're trying to allow people to navigate our community better. So even with this bridge, you're getting sidewalk on the north side. You're having a multi-use path on south side. Cable stayed spans on the railroad yard, and an estimated cost of $398 million. $398 million. We've been talking about some huge numbers in our area. That's a lot of investment. For me, that's a lot of income tax, which I love. But nonetheless, that is a lot of investment in this one area. Okay, can we please move? So right now we have funding. The funding is $214 million in federal funding and $271 million in local. So as you know, there's a lot of collaboration that is going on. Everyone that has been up on this stage, I have to talk to consistently because we collab with each other. It takes all of us rowing in the same direction for us to make these things happen. This design is currently in stage 1, designed to be completed in 2024. So as you see, a lot of our time frame is coinciding with the Brent Spence Bridge. So I would argue, okay, let's break this thing apart. How can I find opportunity? What do I want to do? This whole stretch, they're all feeding into each other. Brent Spence Bridge feeds into Western Hills Viaduct. There is opportunity after opportunity depending on when you're prepared to start to do this. And again, it starts with being a certified DBE. Okay? All right, so here we are. We are at 2018 to 2025. This has been going on since 2010. God, how old were some of y'all in 2010? It's like, no. I didn't even know and was not thinking about bridges in 2010, okay? But nonetheless, it started in 2010, and we are now at 2018 to 2025. There has been so many people that have worked on these one single projects. That's how government works. Decades to get these projects, and we are now across the finish line. And in Cincinnati today is when we're going to see While we'll probably be cussing out the construction as it's going on, but once we get through it, that 2025, 2030 date is going to be amazing time in the city. But so right now, we're completing the bridge study type study. We obtain public input. You hear them, but obtain public input. Community engagement is key in a lot of these projects. Complete detailed design and finalize the right-of-way acquisition. All right, let's flip, please. All right, so minor business opportunities. Western Hills Viaduct. Here we go, DBE, the theme, registered with the Ohio Department of Transportation. Outside, you will see the Cincinnati Department of Economic Inclusion. You heard Darryl talk about his office. Even before then, we heard about the Brent Spence Bridge, the Brent Spence Bridge. There are so many people who are waiting and needing you all to help us to get paid to do this job, to do the help with the labor of these projects. And there are so many people who are willing to help you navigate the process. So there is the bridge construction scheduled to begin in 2025, possibly early work package sooner, and the citywide opportunities. Priority improve inclusion work across all projects, both large and small scale. And get certified as a DBE with the city through the Department of Economic Inclusion. They are outside in the concourse if you have any information. Okay, flip please. Now, you're not gonna call me if you have questions about this again, because I happen to be the one that they chose to come up here and speak about this project. But right here we have some amazing, talented staff members who are the project management and the contact person for this project. So if you have any questions, please take a picture of that last slide and he will be happy to point you in the right direction. But nonetheless, in conclusion for me, as I stated very early on, from the Convention Center, Western Hills Viaduct, Brent Spence Bridge, and the BRT. Y'all need to work with me on that brand because they don't. These are great opportunities for you to do business for the city of Cincinnati. There is great opportunities for you to do business in the city of Cincinnati. It is a great opportunity for you to grow and for you to build that generational wealth. You have several people who have said, I am willing to help you navigate this project, because at the end of the day, we need you desperately to get this done. In order for these deadlines to be met, we need you all, and we need the workers, we need the project managers, we need every aspect of it to be at the table to help us get this done. So thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Phones? Phones?
Oh, I need that, please.
There's two of them. How do you keep up with two phones?
Thank you.
So, in conclusion, I heard $3.6 billion. I heard $200 million. I heard $300 million. And I heard $400 million. That's a lot of money, y'all. That's a lot of money. Let's not walk out of here and at least not put a bid in to try to get some of that bread. Would y'all agree with that? I mean, no. If they say no, hey, Darryl said if they said no, they'll walk over your application and show you where you need to improve it to do it right. And if you fail with Darryl, then you can just go to Cheryl and say, hey, you know what, Cheryl, I done improved my app. I'm ready to go. And then after you work with Cheryl, then you can go back to Darryl and say, hey, look, I done figured it out now. That's right. Steve's got people you can partner with. If you know, Antonio, you got a construction company. You trying to scale up, right? Go to that meeting on the 25th. Steve will match you up with somebody who can get you going. 27th, he'll get you somebody matched up with so you can grow your business. So you can't score if you don't get in the game. You can't get the bid if you don't put a bid in. So don't be intimidated. Don't take no for an answer. Stay committed and go out and be a part of this change. That's a lot of money, y'all. Y'all hearing this firsthand from the people who are going to be a part of it, so please take advantage of it. Thank you all so much. I'm going to bring up Councilmember Reggie Harris to close us out.
It's been a long, beautiful, productive day. Thank you all for staying around with us. We've had over 420 people throughout the day. We planned this conference for 350 people, and we've had 420 folks come here. You are seeing the heads of our city leadership here, so to have the CEO of our region's transportation system here to say we want to help. Our city manager, her schedule is insane, here to say, come work with us, to have Steve Leeper here at 3CDC say, here are the opportunities. This is what it is about. So this only works, okay, if next year at our conference, we hear your stories about the work that you did. So this isn't the work. This conference isn't the work. This is the jumping off point. We need to be able to say next year, have a session on highlighting the folks that had their first contract, scaled their business, completed a course, collaborated with some folks they met here, reached out to Brandon Comer at the National Black Bank Foundation, connected with Booker T. Washington and the microhomes, built an ADU, which we have now legalized here in the city of Cincinnati. That is the next step. All of this will be available on the app. And then because these sessions are recorded, you'll be able to access them, share them with people. We want to end a culture of gatekeeping. There's no gatekeeping here. We want to be able to make this all accessible. And to that end, I have to give the biggest thank you and shout out to Simone Charles of Hello Be Social Events. Simone has done an incredible job with an incredible team and talked about living the values, using Black vendors, and it has just been great. So thank you for being with us. Go home, enjoy, and we'll see you next year.